Using the wrong products and techniques can cause your waves and loose curls to fall limp, flat, and not last. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get longer lasting results using some fragrance-free, sensitive scalp-friendly products from Curlsmith, who are kindly partnering with me for this video. My name is Gina and welcome back to my channel. Here we talk all things naturally curly. I love simplifying things and helping you problem solve with your curls. And I'm also a curl coach who helps my clients find the best products for them, no matter what their hair and scalp type are. Also keep in mind that you can still do this long-lasting routine regardless of the products that you have, but if you are someone with a sensitive scalp or if you prefer fragrance-free, these products are going to be perfect for you. The first step to getting your waves and loose curls to last starts with getting a thorough cleanse from your shampoo. The new fragrance-free shampoo from Curlsmith is specifically designed for sensitive scalps, dermatologically tested. It gently removes buildup without stripping the hair. So while I don't struggle with these things with my scalp, so many of my clients and viewers struggle with having a sensitive scalp, allergies, migraines, or they just have sensitivity to scents. And for some reason, there are very few fragrance-free products out there, especially for wavy and curly hair. This Curlsmith range is unscented, so there's actually no smell at all to these, which is nice. It gives a really nice lather. It has an effective cleanse for your scalp. I also recommend double cleansing to ensure everything is removed. I find it to be about a medium moisture shampoo and suitable for frequent washing. And this just means after I rinse it out, my hair feels fairly moisturized. If you're not using a shampoo that is strong enough, then you could be leaving behind oil, product residue, and just have too much conditioning on your hair to start, which will really impact your hold and longevity. This is often the root cause of my clients not getting enough hold when they've already tested everything. Don't discount the importance of a thorough cleanse. After rinsing, the hair should feel clean, but not super dry and stripped or overly soft. If your hair feels overly soft and too seaweedy, it could potentially impact your hold and you might need something even stronger, or it might be time to clarify, or you could even skip conditioner if your hair feels very moisturized after shampooing. The next step to getting waves and loose curls to last is making sure they're properly moisturized or conditioned without overdoing it. The fragrance-free conditioner from Curlsmith is specifically designed for sensitive scalps, so again, it's dermatologically tested, gently detangles with a high amount of slip without weighing down the hair, which is important. It provides 80% more hydration when used with the fragrance-free shampoo. When it comes to your conditioner, if you're using something that's too heavy, your hair might be weighed down and not hold. Even though we rinse out our conditioner, it's often still leaving behind conditioning agents on the hair shaft, which will impact your hold. Fortunately, this conditioner is not too heavy. I find it to be about a medium weight conditioner, so it softens and conditions without weighing down the hair. It does contain shea butter, avocado oil, and coconut oil, so I recommend using it sparingly for fine hair types. So you could just start with a small amount, add it to the ends, and then work the rest up to the top with lots of water. When you rinse out your conditioner, make sure you are spending some time to thoroughly rinse it out, so that way you're not leaving any behind, especially if you're struggling with not getting enough hold. This is key. And if your hair is very fine plus low porosity, so if your hair is already very soft and silky, if it gets weighed down very easily, you could potentially even skip conditioner and just use a lightweight leave-in spray and possibly even rinse it out if you want, or leave it in. But anything that is left on your hair that is creamy in nature can over moisturize your hair if your hair doesn't need it. But those of you with more medium to coarse hair like myself, I definitely need conditioner, so this one is perfect. Now we have the perfect base for styling. I'm just putting my hair up in my Curlsmith towel and we'll get into styling. Before styling, I'm misting my hair down with water to ensure it's evenly wet. Most people will say that you need to be styling soaking wet, which most products say that on the directions of the package, but this isn't the case for all hair types. I know from experience that soaking wet styling doesn't always work for everyone, such as my low density curls. So I will be applying my stylers to evenly wet hair, but not dripping. While wavy hair does tend to like a lot of water, water is heavy, especially if you're adding in moisturizing products. The more water in your hair, the more you're diluting your styling products and reducing hold. Plus, if you're experiencing hair that falls really quickly, or if you're struggling to get a cast, even with strong hold gels, you might want to minimize the water that you're using during your routine. So try a little bit less water and see if you can get a better balance of clumping and better hold. The right amount of water is really something that you'll have to just tweak and experiment with. That's why I recommend styling out of the shower in front of your mirror so you can see what your hair looks like, and having a spray bottle on hand so you can really customize it and fine tune the amount of water. So again, my hair is not soaking and dripping, but it's also not dry and stringy. It takes a little bit of practice to find that perfect balance, but once you understand the differences between soaking wet and damp styling, you'll be able to find what works best for you. For my products today, I'll be using the Curlsmith fragrance-free leave-in underneath of my gel. So this is also fragrance-free. It's very lightweight in texture. It has a lot of slip to it. So I'm just focusing this on my ends and where my hair is the driest, which is usually in the front section for me, and then working the rest throughout my hair. I also like to brush it through just to make sure it's evenly distributed. Normally when I talk about getting your hair to last, I recommend skipping this step and not using a leave-in or a curl cream. But since this product is very lightweight, it should give you the right amount of moisture without weighing down your waves and loose curls. So if your hair does tend to get dry the next day, or if it's too dry with just the gel, you will need this step underneath. It does contain a few oils such as castor seed oil and shea butter, but I find it to be formulated to still be fairly lightweight. If your hair is very fine, you could consider skipping this step altogether or just use it very sparingly, which would be just a small amount, like a pea-size amount, add some water and focus it on your ends or your driest areas. You guys know I'm a tough critic when it comes to gels at being called strong hold, and the biggest test of that is if my curls last into day 2, so stay tuned till the end of the video to see my day 2 results. The next step is gel. This step is the most important because if you're using the wrong styling product, or if you're just using a cream or a leave-in, your curls are going to fall after just a few hours and definitely are not going to last into the next day, requiring so much time refreshing. When looking for products that will give you long-lasting results, typically you want to avoid ones that are very slippery and will soften the hair. I often use those because my hair is more medium to coarse and it tends to feel very brittle and stiff, so I usually look for softening products. However, if you're struggling with hair that falls easily and doesn't hold, you will want more grit in your products. So grit is that sticky, tacky, texturizing feeling that some products leave in your hair. This gives it some grip and can also help increase your hold, especially in hair that falls straight very easily. Usually gels that have grit are those with a thicker texture, such as the Curlsmith fragrance-free Stronghold Gel. This gives long-lasting frizz control. It's labeled a level 9 on hold, which I definitely think is accurate. I used to use this product all the time in its previous packaging when it was called the Shine Gel, and from my experience, it has little to no slip, so I have to emulsify it with some water. It gives very strong hold. It can also be reactivated with water, which makes refreshing much easier, and it's anti-humidity, so it's a great option for summer, and it provides that texture and grit. If you're having trouble finding a gel that gives you any hold, this is definitely one to try. It's usually my go-to for my clients who are struggling with all gels just being way too soft, because it truly gives that hard cast that lasts, and you can scrunch it out to get a softer look, which I will show you how I do that. Before we move on to the styling techniques, make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you're enjoying this video. So let's talk about the styling techniques that I've been doing, because I did switch up my routine a little bit for these products. So the fragrance-free Stronghold Gel is a thicker gel, which is why I like to mix it with some water to help it spread better. But because it's thick, it might be hard for you to brush style with it in. And you also are probably going to get much more coverage of your gel. So you might get more of that very strong cast, like a wet look, if you have complete full coverage with this gel. So in order to get a softer look today, I decided to brush style with just that leave-in cream in my hair, then just scrunch the gel in sections. That's going to not coat every single hair, so it's a little bit less coverage, but that's why I actually got a softer look today. So if you want more hold, you can try brush it through as long as you have enough water. If you want a little bit less hold for a softer look, don't brush it through. So I'm just doing my normal brush styling techniques. I love using a styling brush like this because it just helps to increase the longevity of my hair and it helps prevent it from looking stringy. You don't have to do anything too complicated. Just brushing through in sections with a bit of tension can really help. But if you have wavy or looser curls, you might not see a huge difference with brush styling. So maybe even skip it, especially if you want more volume. Regardless of the styling techniques, techniques that you choose, I do recommend doing some sort of styling. The more effort that you put in to get your curls up to their full potential on wash day will typically help them last a lot longer. This is something that I actually compared side by side in my low versus high manipulation video that I did recently, and there was a clear difference in how long my hair lasted when I put more effort into styling compared to doing just a lower manipulation type of routine, which had no brush styling, no finger coiling. My hair was much frizzier the next day, which actually cost me more time throughout the week. So putting in a little bit of time to style is definitely going to pay off for you, and you will barely have to refresh, especially when using a nice gel like this one. When aiming for a long-lasting routine, it's also important to reduce water weight, especially if you did style soaking wet. So you'll want to microplop, which is just where you take your towel and scrunch your hair gently to absorb that excess water and reduce your dry time. This is especially important for those of you who do style soaking wet, or if you plan to just air dry, although I don't recommend that, and I'll share why in the next step. But microplopping is going to significantly speed up your dry time regardless. After microplopping, I like to add in an extra layer of the Curlsmith fragrance-free stronghold gel. This will significantly increase your hold because the hair is more dry when you're applying the second light layer of gel. Since this is a thicker gel, I always mix it with some more water to make it easier to apply, and also so that I don't apply too much. You're just gently glazing over and scrunching in any frizzy areas. This is basically just a touch-up. You could totally skip this step if you feel like you already have enough gel in your hair and if you don't really see any frizz after scrunching. I just find that I have some problem areas in the front, and after I microplop, they always end up frizzy. I know it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, like why would you scrunch and then add more, but I promise that layering technique is really going to help your curls last so much longer and really increase your hold, especially if you're someone who struggles with nothing holding your hair. Now that I'm happy with how my curls look, I don't see any frizz at all. The curl clump size looks great. I'm ready to diffuse. This is another one of the most important steps if your waves and loose curls are falling quickly. Air drying will result in more elongated waves and curls, whereas diffusing freezes the curls in place and sets your gel cast, reducing frizz. The heat from your diffuser, which is a gentle heat if you're using the Curlsmith hairdryer, is also going to help set the curl shape so that way it lasts longer. If you're really worried about frizz, you can plop your hair over a flat surface first and then hover, or just go straight to scrunch diffusing with your diffuser. If your hair is really elongating, then you probably will want to go right in with scrunch diffusing because you want to actually set the curls in the position you want them to dry in right away versus just hovering first. When you hover first without the curls being in a scrunch position, you're basically freezing them in a more elongated position. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to shrink up your curls and waves. But I highly recommend the Curlsmith Diffusion with the XXL diffuser attachment because it dries my hair really fast with using less heat. There's actually air holes in the prongs of the diffuser head, so the air will reach the root area to dry your hair faster. And the large size allows me to basically cover my entire head at once, which is really helpful. Just be mindful of how you're placing your hair in the diffuser. If the hair is getting bent or if it's kind of spilling out the side, then you're probably going to end up with wonky waves and curls. I've noticed that a lot with my looser curl clients and also my wavy clients. They tend to really struggle with the placement of their hair in the diffuser, so just pay closer attention to how the hair is getting placed. It usually only takes me about 10 minutes to diffuse my hair with this hairdryer, especially when I'm doing a lower moisture routine with the Stronghold gel. It usually will only take about 10 minutes, which is super helpful. And you don't even have to diffuse all the way, although if your hair is falling straight and getting looser throughout the day, I do recommend diffusing all the way because, again, anytime you're air drying, it is elongating your hair. So you want to get it as dry as you possibly can with the time that you have. Also, if you want mega root volume and you're not using the prongs of your diffuser, what are you doing? You've got to try out this technique. It's so easy to do when your hair is just at the point where it's almost dry, the roots are maybe still a little bit damp. Put your diffuser prongs right at the root and then lift it up. This is the only way to really get true root volume because you're setting your hair away from your scalp and you're kind of bubbling the roots up and then it's setting it with the heat. So this is really game changing. It's also going to dry your roots and help to set the hair away from your scalp. You can also flip from side to side, but I find that the method of targeting the roots directly around your part area really makes a big difference. Here's how my hair looks when it's fully dry and still in the cast. You'll want to let this cast set for a bit if you really struggle with your waves and loose curls falling limp. The longer it can cool in the cast and set in the cast, it will last a lot longer because that cast is like a protective shell that holds your curl shape into place. So typically after diffusing, you will see people use an oil to scrunch out the cast. However, oils are meant to soften the hair, and that's what we want to avoid when we're aiming for long-lasting results. So you can just use your dry hands to scrunch out the cast, or leave the cast in if you really want them to last longer. But I often just use my clean, dry hands. You'll want to make sure they don't have product residue on them because this can make the hair frizz if your hands are sticky. So just go in with your clean, dry hands, scrunch out the cast. Luckily with this gel, since it is so strong hold, you can really go to town with scrunching and fluffing it out. I love really getting in there at the roots and shaking out my roots for more volume. And because this gel has some texture and grit, my roots aren't feeling overly silky and soft. But if your hair was still feeling too soft and silky, I would go in with something like the Curlsmith Flawless Finish Flexible Hold Hairspray, which is alcohol free, so it's not drying. I highly recommend. So that's a great finishing option for those of you who have overly soft hair, and definitely skip the oils. It's now day 2, and as always, I wanted to give you an update on how my hair turned out. I'm really loving these results. I don't even have to refresh today, which is really nice. The hair definitely softens up quite a bit into day 2, where the cast will start to fully release. I will say I didn't have as much of a cast yesterday because I used less gel, but I still have really good results. I feel like the frizz is still controlled. I don't have too much frizz or anything. The only part where I got a little bit of frizz is right back here, which is definitely a problem area for me, but overall it still looks really good. The curl clumps still look good. It's not stringy. They haven't fallen or anything like that. If your waves and curls fall limp very easily, you definitely want to look for a thicker, stronger hold gel like this one from Curlsmith to get your curls to actually stay longer. But my curls are still looking really good. I love when I don't have to refresh because then it saves me a lot of time. What do you all think of these final results? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. I've really been enjoying the new fragrance-free collection from Curlsmith, and I love that there is an option for a long-lasting stronghold gel without fragrance, because that's really hard to come by. I know a lot of you don't like fragrance in your products, or you have those scalp sensitivities and you need something that actually performs. It can be really limiting sometimes, especially when it comes to gel. And this gel has definitely been one of my all-time favorites, especially if you need that really strong hold. But I feel like I was able to customize it on this wash day to get a softer look. If you've seen my other videos using this gel, you'll notice I have a very strong cast on day 1, and then into day 2 it looks even better when some of that moisture evaporates and it looks much softer. But I feel like I achieved that softer look today with doing a similar technique, but just using less gel and not brushing the gel through. So I love that you can customize that. It's a lower moisture gel, so it's pretty suitable for all hair types, whether if your hair gets way down easily or if you have coarser hair, you'll just want to use that leave-in underneath. But really enjoying this line. Love the shampoo and conditioner as well. I think it's a good medium weight type of shampoo and conditioner, so it's one of those gentle, mild cleansers. Still make sure that you are rotating in your clarifying shampoo. I love the new detox one from Curlsmith. But I will link you to this range in the description box down below if you want to check it out. And I would love to hear if you try out this routine. Do you get longer lasting results? Let me know below. And if you're still struggling with your hair and you can't seem to get it to last no matter what you do, or if you're struggling with finding the right products, I would love to have you in my upcoming group coaching membership, which will be opening for enrollment again very soon. I will have the waitlist link down below, and always reach out to me if you have any questions about how it works. If you're struggling with weighed down hair, or you get a lot of buildup, or your curls are just not turning out, then it might be time to clarify, especially if you have hard water. I recommend checking out the hard water versus soft water that I did. I will link it for you right here on the screen, but it's featuring the new Curlsmith Detox Shampoo, which removes all types of buildup, suitable for everyone, and I think you'll really enjoy that. And I also share a routine over there as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you over in that video. Bye everyone.